Hey, what's up, everyone? I want to talk about excuses today. More in particular, my own excuses. I get asked constantly about what I injured or what I did or this or that or something when, I post a video and it's a lot less weight than videos from a year or 2 years ago. And I keep saying that I was going to do this, but I put it off just because it sounds like one big excuse, but I think it's just life of someone who lifts a lot of weight and did it trying to do it at a elite level, or at least very obsessively, is eventually your body gets kind of fucked up, for lack of a better term. And people say, what did I injure? And I say I competed in strongman for 8 years, and I wasn't patient. I always thought it's pretty much all I had going for me in my life, and it's all I looked forward to. So it's like, oh, I can't miss out on this contest, even though this is hurting, and it's just constantly training around this and training around that and doing what I can, and having something hurt very badly going into a show, and having a job where I drove around and I'm sitting down for a long time, and maybe not spending as much time as I should have on the corrective stuff and the preventative stuff and the rehab and the mobility. And what happened was I had some injury squatting 500 pounds at shortly after I pulled 600, and it felt like it was in my piriformis. I say I just tore my piriformis as a quick answer, but I didn't get an MRI because I was broke, and those are really expensive and not covered by it's, unless you can show it wasn't going to be covered, and even if it was, medical bills are a bitch and it's still expensive. So all I know is it was very inflamed, and I was very tight, and just basically everything. And after that, I kept training, went to another nationals, another Arnold, basically not being able to deadlift without a suit or from standard height, because when I'd go to load my hamstrings, I'd just get like a nerve shut down. Like I just couldn't get them to fire at all. I couldn't get my hamstrings to fire at the bottom of the deadlift or my glutes, and I just always have pain, and it'd just be like pins and needles coming up my entire legs. And basically my body was just all twisted out of shape and nothing was functioning right, and I still continued to train like this was not the case. You can see all my training videos leading up to the Arnold in 2014, where I was doing a lot of strict log pressing. This is because I would get the same pain from cleaning a log, and if I tried to use any sort of leg drive, I'd just be in a ton of pain, and I just never shut it down. And that's, it kind of really just came to a head, and I performed horribly at the Arnold in 2014. And just because my body wouldn't function, I was really strong. I strict pressed a lot of weight, but you need to be able, in order to like run with a yoke and move around and be fast and be athletic, you can't. Your body needs to work right, and mine wasn't. There's some old photos. My freaking left trap and shoulder sat visibly lower than my right, or might have been the other way around, I don't know, but I was basically just really imbalanced and unhealthy, and I needed to take some time off just mentally to address all these things. And also with getting fired and then starting my own business, I knew that to compete at what I've kind of built up and the level I'm trying to, that takes up a ton of your time, and it needs to be your number one priority. It's not something, if you want to compete for anything in a world championship, it's not something you just like, oh yeah, I'm going to kind of do that. At least that's not the mentality I have. So I thought, it's a good decision to, okay, let's focus on the business and make it so to grow to a point where I'm not worried about how to pay my bills and every single one of them every month, and kind of get everything going and take that year off. And and then I also lose motivation when I'm not training to be better than my former self. Training to maintain does nothing for me. It's hard to find the enjoyment in it. But to address my injuries is just a overuse and abuse on my own body from a whole bunch of things, competing, pushing myself. It's good to be able to push yourself to an extent, but it's also smart to know when to back off and to address small things before they keep compounding on themselves. And that's why I can't just answer the question in a simple way like, oh, what did you hurt? Because it's not that simple. And I had to change a lot of things up with my diet and stuff like that, and eat a little bit more consciously. And now I'm starting to feel good again. And I might not be as strong as I was, but at least I don't feel like I can barely move every day. I can walk up a hill without being all the way out of breath. Now I'm halfway out of breath. And I'm still somewhat jacked and tan. I mean, I have a little bit of a gut, but it's slowly disappearing. And the weight is starting to go up again. And just being able to find enjoyment in lifting was hard for me. There's a lot of stuff that went on, and that's my personal life and stuff that I don't really need to share with everyone, but I'm glad that people care and know when to push it, but also know when to ease back. And I believe if I didn't take a break at all, I'd probably be done with lifting heavy forever, instead of just taking a year, year and a half, 2 years off, which is what I've done. It seems like it's slowly starting to get back to where I can maybe be back on my quest to mediocrity.